Welcome to a special edition of Supercross coverage here on Verve Moto, where the spotlight shifts to the unsung heroes of the sport, the privateers. Today we bring you the Yamaha PulpMX LCQ Challenge, a race that celebrates the grit, determination, and passion of riders who battle not just on the track, but off it as well. For many, the road to Supercross is paved with sacrifice. Privateers often spend upwards of $50,000 a season just to compete, covering expenses like race entries, travel, and bike maintenance. Yet despite their efforts, they often find themselves on the outside looking in, just short of making the main events. Enter the Yamaha PulpMX LCQ Challenge. Founded by Steve Matthes and supported by Yamaha, this event offers privateers a unique opportunity to showcase their skills and earn a significant payday. With over $100,000 raised through a raffle for a YZ450F and prop bets included as well, the challenge has become a big opportunity for riders to supplement their yearly income in one single event.
Hey, that's a Supercross track right there.
The format? 2 main events, each lasting 5 minutes plus 1 lap. And the twist? An Olympic-style scoring system, complete with a staggered restart in the second race, ensuring every rider has a fair shot at victory. Today, it's not just about the race. It's about giving back to those on the relentless pursuit of a dream. Get ready for the Yamaha PulpMX LCQ Challenge, where every lap tells a story, and every rider walks away with a fistful of cash.
Yeah, welcome everybody into the 2025 Yamaha PulpMX LCQ Challenge here at Empower Field at Mile High. I am Kellen Brauer, joined by Phil Nicoletti, Jason Weigandt in the booth to bring you guys some action here today where the privateers are on the line ready to give you guys a show and give us a show as well up here in the booth. Very exciting event format here today, of course. 2 moto format, but it's a short moto format. I'll go with you first on this, Phil. How do you gauge this one? Because it's pretty gnarly to do 2 6-minute races quickly, huh?
Yeah, a lot of pressure. I mean, basically 12 minutes, $30,000 on the line if you win it. I mean, you add that up per second, per minute, per lap. It's a lot of coin. So it's going to be a lot of risking it for the biscuit, so a lot of chances. I'm excited to see some of the action.
And, of course, all the funds generated through a raffle for a Yamaha YZ450F. You guys can still head over to pulpmx.com and get involved in that all the way through Monday's show coming up this week. So definitely very cool to get involved there. And for you, Jason Weigandt, obviously this is a really cool thing that Steve has done for privateers to give back to the sport. I mean, we know all these guys. We talk to them on a regular basis. And for them, this is a huge event, too.
Yeah, it is. And we always talk about it as simple as you said in the intro. They just don't make the money that the Chase Sexton Cooper Webb riders will be watching mostly on Saturday do. And it's cool for Steve to do that because Steve, unfortunately, he has achieved some good things in his career, but he has not achieved all. Just this morning, about an hour ago, I was given this very prestigious award by the American Motorcycle Association. This is the Journalism Award that did not go to Matthes, nor to you, Kellen, sorry.
Yeah,
Lewis
sadly.
Phillips, Don Maeda, the rest of you guys. How's it feel to want? So I'm glad that Steve has something that he can celebrate here, this race that Feld was dumb enough to let him do and actually take over the stadium on a Friday because he doesn't have the award. But props to Steve because he could have done whatever he wanted with the bike. Yamaha said, we'll give you a bike, come up with something cool. He came up with this, which puts a lot of money in the pockets of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll take $100,000 given to privateers over an award, but maybe not. Maybe he wish he had that award as well.
He does. Trust me, he does.
No, he definitely
Yes, he
does. So, yeah, we'll get to practice in a little bit. We'll also get to the 2-moto format that's coming up a little bit later. But before we do that, we want to show you guys some highlights from last year's event as well, so you guys can get an idea of what this race looked like a year ago, maybe build up into this show here tonight for 2025.
Here's what happened in the 2024 PulpMX Yamaha LCQ Challenge. Off to start in race number 1, Mitchell Harrison on the 82 Partzilla PRMX Kawasaki fired off to the early race lead, and he would kind of check out from here because behind him there was a big crash. A lot of guys got together on this rhythm section. Anthony Rodriguez, Hunter Schlosser, both of them got together. A lot of guys able to slide on through. And it was initially Jeremy Hand running up in second place on the 56 Honda, but Josh Hill on the number 44 machine was running him down. Hill would eventually get to the inside of Hand and make a nice pass to move up into second place. Too far gone, though, was Mitchell Harrison out front, and he was pretty much in cruise control from there, putting in the laps and got away in the 6-minute plus 1 lap main event number 1 to take the win there. Then it was on to the restart, in which we staggered the order, reversed them around. Will Hahn turned the 32nd card, and Hunter Schlosser, who crashed early in the race of race 1, got off to the early lead from there. A lot of jockeying for position for these guys early in the race as Mitchell Harrison puts a block pass on Josh Hill, trying to keep him behind as they obviously were battling through the field together. And then Schlosser led the first lap and a half or so before Anthony Rodriguez, who you see jumping through the whoops right there, would eventually get up there and take the lead away. Harrison was making good progress to the field, but it was actually Josh Hill who was making a little bit better progress. Here's Jeremy Hand going to work on Justin Starling. He was also trying to get into the top 10 as these guys were coming through the field together. And you see Hill just behind him also making some passes, trying to get up there as well. He's going to jump down the inside of here of Marshall Welton and make a pass. And then soon after that, he would go after Justin Starling just ahead of him. You can even see Jeremy Hand right behind him all the way through. There is that pass on Justin Starling. And he gets it done right at the checkered flag to move into 10th place. And it would be a 2:10 performance that would seal the deal for Josh Hill.
It's awesome to no longer be a one-time Supercross winner. To win this, I'm stoked. It's hard to make money doing this, and this event really is a cool thing and vital to keep the sport alive.
So last year, over $25,000 raised for Josh Hill to get that win, but over $100,000 overall raised in the raffle, and we're pretty much at that number again. Welcome in Race Tech's Chris Riesenberg in the studio with us. Great to have Checkers here. But yeah, beyond just the raffle, there's so many other things that go into this as well. There's prop bets. There's sponsors getting involved and backing this as well and getting involved in those prop bets. And even you, obviously involved with Motocross the Game. Something cool coming from that today, huh?
Yeah, so we just got approval actually for that the winner of the race today will get to design their own dream Supercross track. It'll come out in the upcoming title when it comes out in the fall. And they'll actually get a piece of money from that title as it sells for the life of the product. So they'll always be getting some residual income coming back in. So that'll be really, really sweet. Plus you get to see their dream track.
Yeah, the dream track that maybe they'll build after they get a lot of money and build a pad or a Supercross layout somewhere here today. But obviously, with Race Tech, you guys have been involved in a lot of privateers over the years. How has this race kind of given back to the sport in a way that Race Tech has been there and seen it as well? But this is a whole nother level too, right?
Yeah, since when I came onto Race Tech, we went to this privateer proven model, and the reason was you get as many guys as you can get on the product that use all the different setups and combinations, and they also relate a lot more to the guy that's at home in the B class or the vet rider compared to a factory bike that's very, very focused on that rider. And so it gives us a lot more data. And then so what this has done with this race, it allows those guys to go racing more. It allows them to, guys, instead of doing half the series, they do the whole series. So they get points to make it to this race. It changes their lives. It really does. It is a huge income boost for them.
Yeah, so we mentioned the prop bets a little bit and everybody that's involved with that. Funnily enough, a lot of the athletes also get involved in these prop bets as well. It's not just sponsors and things as well. We have a funny little clip here from the PulpMX show earlier this week where Cooper Webb even got involved in this as well.
Yeah, Coop, we got AC and Brayton stepping up for the 9th place and the 10th place guy. What can we do?
Oh, okay.
What can we do?
I'll be honest with you. I know it's a great race, but I don't know much about it.
Well, let's do Top Yamaha. Why don't you do $200 to the Top Yamaha?
I mean, sure, you can spare $200, Coop.
I mean, like AC's throwing in 1,000. I didn't want to throw that to Coop, but let's go 200.
Bro, why you got to do it like that?
Because you're the cheapest millionaire I know.
No, but okay.
Whatever Phil throws in, how about that?
So look at Cooper Webb. They're adding $200 to the pot. Phil adding $200 to the pot, but also you're here with us. You can talk about this awesome Dead Sailor Award, Midnight Sailor as you call it, where these guys are required to do an air wheelie over the finish line jump on the parade lap. It's great fun.
Yeah, so I'm a professional fun haver, or at least I like to think of myself as that. And yes, the race is serious because there's a lot of money on the line. But these privateer guys, dude, they love racing their dirt bike. That's the reason they're here, not doing another job. So this keeps some of the fun in the event. It's for the fans, and honestly, it's kind of growing out of control. This is year number 3, and we've raised over $1,000 for them, I think, each year.
And how does it break down, right? Because it's like 50% judged and then 50% fan vote too, correct?
Yeah, so we've always done a judged vote, and a lot of the fans would chime in and say, no, this guy should have won or that guy. Well, this year we said, okay, instead of having one winner, let's cut it in half. We'll have our judged winner, which Wes Williams, Steve Mathis, and Matt Burkina are our 3 judges for that. They'll take half the pot, whoever wins that. Then we're going to put a poll up on verbmoto.com right after with clips of them on all their air wheelies, and the fans go on and vote, and we'll announce that Monday on the Pulp Show.
That's awesome, and awesome of Race Tech to be involved as well, of course. For you, I'll throw it to you just quickly, Jason Weigandt, on this. Of all the prop bets, though, that we see come across here and that these guys put up, you got a favorite picked out here today?
Well, I even had to put in some of my own money, which is definitely not something I like to do. I felt like I was putting up a lot. I put up $100, but the current Supercross point leader did double what I put up, and I put it up for first mechanical problem of the race, because as Checkers knows, that is not my specialty. And I saw Juwan Cross actually back racing today. He's here for press day. He's not racing in this. But I did have to hand him the $100 2 years ago because he got last in this race. So we reunited. I gave him $100 cash at Salt Lake City. We'll see who takes it here. But it is cool. The whole thing is themed. Almost everyone picks, as you heard Steve say, 9th place is AC giving $1,000. Justin Brayton's giving it for 10th. Everyone comes up with a creative little trademark for the money. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, you had to get Brayton in there, right?
Great guy. Great guy. Perfect 10th place position. You
Perfect
get money
10.
from Brayton.
Well, it all adds to the pot and obviously adds thousands of dollars as well that these guys can potentially earn on top of that. It's all very cool as well. But what does this mean to Yamaha specifically, being involved in this program, giving out a YZ450F every year? We talked to Mike Ulrich earlier, and this is what he had to say about that.
Yeah, so I think it was a little bit over 7 years ago we got together and talked about how we could kind of work together and hopefully support privateers and the guys in the sport who really struggle and need the help to get to the races from week to week. And, we put our heads together and came up with Yamaha putting up a bike every year and doing some kind of a raffle system that's evolved to this race. So it's been quite a while. I think this is our 7th one, and we're super stoked to do it. It's far exceeded any of our expectations. We were, at first we were just hoping we would get enough to cover the cost of the bike. We're not getting anything out of it, but it would have been embarrassing if we didn't raise enough money even to cover the retail cost of a bike. But it's blown everybody away. The amount of money that we've been able to raise, or Steve's been able to raise, it just speaks to how popular his show is and how dedicated all his listeners are.
So that is, of course, Mike Ulrich with Yamaha speaking on behalf of Yamaha being involved in this program. And hey, speaking of Yamaha, motorsport.com also involved in this as well. They're doing a sweepstakes that launches on May 10th. You can also win a YZ450F through that as well. So definitely check that out, motorsport.com/win. You can enter there. There's going to be a little thing set up at Salt Lake City as well where you guys can go over there and get entered. So Yamaha, I know you're not Blue Crew anymore, Phil, but Yamaha definitely goes all out for this thing.
No,
huh?
it's awesome. I mean, any manufacturer that wants to support privateers and help race stuff like it's cool. I think even other manufacturers, they all come up and watch this race too. So it's all for a good cause. And I'm very jealous. I wish 15, 18 years ago, this sort of race was around for me, because basically you're getting rewarded for not making main events. So, which I did not make it for a couple back in my day. So, it's awesome.
So you guys know the format now, but who are the riders actually on the gate? Well, this is, of course, a lot of guys that have not made main events this year. The way that Steve has organized this event is based on a qualifying format where everyone 5th on back in the last chance qualifier earns points to make it into this privateer challenge. And so he has 17 riders that made it in based on points. He also picks 5 wild cards. We'll kind of go through the format of who are those wild cards here today as they get ready to go racing for practice. But kind of cool because it's a way that you don't really pick out who's privateer or who's factory, Jason Weigandt. It kind of gives you an answer of who's actually making main events or not.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest problem when Steve had this idea. And by the way, it wasn't always a race. Mike Ulrich from Yamaha mentioned it's been 7 years. This is maybe the 3rd or 4th year for the actual race. Mm-hmm. The first couple of years, they just handed out the money based on those standings. And I think Steve knew immediately there's going to be a huge argument over who's a privateer and who's not. And there's been plenty of top privateer awards through the years and plenty of guys who maybe weren't the intended type of privateer. Guys were arguing over my shock. I swear I could buy it, so pay me the money. Steve didn't want to deal with any of that. So he just said, look, if you don't make the main and you get 5th in the LCQ, that is considered a first place in points, and I'll just keep standings. And it leads to these standings here. Justin Rodbell was the top point getter, the guy that came closest but was just short of making mains the most. And now we have the full line up there. So you still have to earn your way in. I mean, essentially, I guess, Phil, you could be a factory rider in Mr. Maine every week and get in on this.
Yeah, you could, but I don't think you'd have a factory ride at the end of the year. You'd be SOL, so.
Oh, no, look, Pulp logos on the ribbons in the stadium.
This has gone too far.
Oh, my gosh.
It's gone too far.
You know, I think we've done a great job, Steve and Yamaha. We've shouted them out. But honestly, folks, they don't build full racetracks on Friday. We don't do gate drops on Friday ever. So shout out to the AMA, Dirtworks, SMX Track Crew, Feld, and everyone for even letting this happen at all.
Yeah, no, it's awesome that like they all come together. We kind of tease Steve that, oh, you get a race and all this stuff like that. But genuinely, it's pretty cool that they even, went for it. That the fact that he pitched this as an idea and they were like, yeah, why not? Well, let's come together and make this happen. So a lot of people down on the floor down there that are making this all work out. And look, boys, we're about to see some practice out here and see what these guys are looking at on the racetrack. So kind of exciting.
Yeah, and I guess to mention, the wild cards are all on 250Fs. Everybody else is on a 450. So
every wild card is 250F.
Every wild card is a 250F.
We got Hardy, we got Simonson, a couple others.
Dylan Walsh, Chambers. So it's awesome.
Also, update, we found out that Ball 1 was once again picked this year, which means that it is basically Gate 1 is Rod Bell, because he was top of the championship all the way back to 17th gate pick for where they finished in that championship. And then the wild cards are last gate pick in race 1. So a lot of 250 guys way outside for this one.
I'm kind of bummed that Ball 1 was picked. So I'd like to see a little bit of a swap,
Well, you'll still get it in race 2. So the format, as you mentioned, Kellen, we invert the start for the second race. The winner of the second race, or the winner of the first race, has to start last in race 2. Phil, what would you think? You say how badly you want to be in this, but imagine dealing with that.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit scary. I mean, last year it showed that Josh Hill won it with a 210 or 212, so he had 12 total points. It's kind of like Olympic scoring, but it kind of puts you in some weird positions because obviously for 30 grand, you'd be surprised what you'd want to do to somebody for that amount of money.
So practice now circulating out on the track, seeing some of the guys out there. Practice doesn't matter, as we just mentioned. Gate selection already decided off of a ping pong ball, so this is just these guys now figuring out the racetrack. But for those at home interested and you would like to check out live timing, visit the VurbMoto Prospect app. It's in the App Store. You guys can download it through the App Store, and it has live timing available for there. But it also has a lot of other cool stuff as well. Keep track of amateur racing results and even amateur racers themselves and where they're ranked in the country. So very cool of that. Definitely check out the app. And practice underway. We saw a little bit of work going on after press day, Phil. There were some ruts in the berms. They cleaned up most of that for the most part. But what you saw on press day, what do we see now on the track here?
Now, and from a rider standpoint, it is actually better for the privateer race right now. So they did press day. Press days for on a normal day are pretty notchy. Transitions are kind of janky-ish. It's not a really legit build. But then after press day, they go in and rework all the transitions and stuff, and it makes the track a lot more racy and makes you feel a little bit more safe and comfortable. So these guys are getting a decent track right now, and they lay down quite a bit of water because it is drying out quite fast.
Yeah, well, they said they put a little bit of sand on top of the track as well, so I'm sure they're hoping that mixes in, makes the surface a little bit better, as we're seeing about half the guys circulating right now. I think it's 2 8-minute sessions we're going to be looking at here for these guys as well. So you're seeing about half the field. The other half will go off in just a little bit. But yeah, this racetrack coming together quite nicely so far. I'll ask you, Jason Weigandt. This is the pinnacle, I guess, for the privateers. They're showcased basically to everybody here today. Speaking to some of these guys, as I know you do, they must be so excited and thrilled about this opportunity.
Well, sure, and I like how at the privateer level, they're all allowed to just admit it's about the money. I think our guy Cooper
100%.
Webb does actually sometimes hint that money is a motivator for him, but when you get to that level, for some reason, the riders never really want to mention the fact that there's a bonus. They win main events, fast qualifier, heat race wins, championships. They kind of keep that off to the side. At least these guys are telling the truth. This is about the cash, okay? And they want to win bad. And Kellen, we've seen before where riders maybe purposely sandbag making mains a little bit just to make sure they get in this thing.
Yes.
And I guess you can mention Kate Clayson and Jeremy Hand
did not do that.
Do that. They could have done that last weekend if they wanted to, where they could have had a potential going for 30 grand today. But they took the high road, which I can't say I would maybe do if I had that opportunity. But hey, I wasn't in that position, so here we are.
So if you were their manager last week, you're like, hey, come on, take the dive.
I'm
There's
fake-
more
I'm-
money on the table next week.
I'll be honest, I'm faking an injury.
Very
Yeah.
But I'm lining up here today healthy.
Their
So-
manager is an agent, but the team manager is probably saying, we pay you to make mains. We have seen riders back before it was a race and it was just based on standings. Riders, when they knew, I've already got this clinched, suddenly started making main events. So, yes, Kellen, to your point, they really, really want to get in, mostly for the money. The exposure is cool too. Although we should mention, all these guys will be racing tomorrow also.
Right.
And what's cool is you'll get a couple of riders, say these wild cards, who might not have even come all the way out to the West Coast. And they'll end up racing tomorrow, where they only really came here for this.
Or a handful of guys like Devin Simonson, Hardy Munoz that race East in 250 class. They are not racing here tomorrow night, obviously, because instead they would have to jump up to a 450. So, yeah, there's a lot of guys here that it's just kind of cool they're here. Like, it's nice that they've either made the journey or the trek across the country, or even in Club MX's case or Twisted Tea Suzuki's case, they let their guy, their paid-for guy, come out and actually do this, like Kyle Chisholm and Devin Simonson. So very cool indeed. Looks like so far Hunter Schlosser was the man up on top of the board running mid-58. I'm not sure if times have updated or not. Scott Meshy, Tristan Lane, Zach Williams, all up there so far. Phil, I'll ask you, the big question is, how are we looking in the whoops with all these guys? Anybody catching your eye yet here?
No, not right now. I mean, it's you have to see come race time. So it's kind of a bummer because the corner before the whoops is quite one line. So I don't know how many passes are going to happen there. So it kind of makes the whoops to be one line as well. So,
but doesn't that maybe leave the door of opportunity wide open because you have to get a run into the whoops, so you leave the door wide open coming into them each lap?
Yeah, and not to mention, I mean, from a racer standpoint, and everyone knows we talk about it when we're in Denver, we're at altitude, right? So these guys have to come up here right away having the right gearing on their bike, the right mapping, the right everything, so because they don't have time to go back to their truck and make any sort of changes. So it's basically run what you brung at this point in time, unless you got a couple screwdrivers, you can make a few clicks here or there, but it's game time for them.
Over to you, Jason Weigandt, on this. Who is the one that stands out to you so far in terms of like power rankings coming into this that you think, man, this really should be their race to win? Is there anybody?
Well, I think Rodbell is first in points, and if you've watched the races this year, you saw how agonizingly close he was time and time again. But I think what's cool about the two-race format, as that Meshy who went down there?
Yeah, Scott Meshy down in the berm after the long rhythm section there.
The two-race format, we still don't really have a read or a strategy on the best way to play it. I think last year a lot of people were thinking, do I purposely get fourth in the first race to have a better start in race two? So I almost think the weirdo format that Steve has come up with levels the playing field a bit.
I mean, just going off past results from last year, 12 total points got you the overall, then 14th for second, and then so on down. But I think from 4th to 8th, which are big money-paying positions, I think a lot of them were tied between 18 and 17 points. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of crazy to see how they...
Well, what the two-race format also did, I feel the previous year when it was one race, we talk about how badly these riders want the money, and I think Steve's goal was to have it race like an LCQ, guys taking each other out in the last lap. Kellen, I think a lot of the riders got to the point where they're like, hey, I'm in third. I'm going to make a lot of money for third. I'm not going to risk it. The two-race format, I don't think anyone knows where they are at that point.
No, and I talked to a lot of guys in the pits here today already, and they're basically just like, I just am going to go as fast as I can for as long as I can, because you don't know the math, especially in the first race. It's just like, go win and let the cards fall as they may in the second race. Of course, you're going to have to start at the back if you win the first race, but rather that than not have any idea what's going on with getting a 7th in the first race and then who you're battling around moving forward in the second race. So, yeah, the strategies at play here are very interesting of who's going to do what and why.
You know, but from myself, just because I've ridden for Club MX for many, many years, Devin Simonson, I think, for a wild card standpoint, has the best upper hand because Club's been coming to altitude in here for many, many years. So they have data from the past, especially for me.
He's on a 250, bro.
He's on a 250, but he'll have the best running 250 out there out of those guys. So I think that helps them a little bit because they can plug in the map from they had last year. They know exactly what gearing to go to. It's just all that stuff helps when you go down there and you're kind of just shooting in the dark.
All right, so it looks like checkered flag is now out, and Jared Lesher on the two-stroke. Jumps up to the top of the board, 55.846. Is this a two-stroke track, Phil?
I'd be honest, you mentioned who was hitting whoops pretty good. Lesher was actually he was greasing the whoops pretty damn good. So.
All right, so Lesher puts it P1. Looks like Dominic Thury jumps up to second right there at the end. Jack Chambers third, Hunter Schlosser fourth, and Tristan Lane rounding out our top 5. But, of course, this is all just basically to get these guys acclimated to the racetrack in practice. These qualifying times don't really matter in the end of it.
I just love how we're talking mapping and then a guy in a carbureted two-stroke out there in the elevation getting it done. To me, this should work the opposite. He should be at a power disadvantage. And here more so than ever.
Yeah, so what I just said before, just block it all out. None of it makes sense.
Wow.
I mean, come on, Phil. I thought you were supposed to be the expert analyst up here. You're not really providing that for us.
Take the headset away.
But, yeah, good job to Lesher there. Motorsport moment of the race, we'll call it during the race coming up here in just a little bit. But so far, our motorsport moment is a two-stroke on top in qualifying. I think every YouTube fan in chat right now is rejoicing. Everyone just went and pinned their 250 two-stroke wide open in their garage to celebrate.
Probably hear it somewhere.
After that, 8-minute practice, the track didn't get nearly as rutted as press day. So it just shows that after they went in and worked in the moisture and stuff, it kind of packed in quite a bit more.
Well, another thing about that, Phil, that I'm curious on your take of this is, these guys, they're very good riders, no question about it. But do you believe that maybe the track wears in differently when you have like the A group on the track like we saw for press day versus these guys? Or is it literally down to track dynamics like you just said?
I think it just comes down to track dynamics. I mean, bikes are bikes at this point in time. They all kind of pretty much do the same thing. Yeah, they might not be going the same speeds as the seated guys, but it's the same sort of wear and tear. So.
All right, the second session coming up right here. Looks like we got Grant Harlan, Anthony Rodriguez. Hey, Jerry Robin, I should say Kyle Chisholm is in this race, but he looks like Jerry Robin. He's wearing Jerry Robin's jersey, number and name on the back of his Liat gear there, and then wearing the number 77 as well. Really cool thing that Kyle Chisholm is doing here today, coming out to race. Obviously, Jerry got hurt a few weeks ago in East Rutherford, and every dime that Chiz makes here today is going to go to Jerry Robbins. So that's pretty cool for Chiz to come out here and do this.
Yep, and I think Chiz understands, and he's done this race before 2 years ago, and he's won this race. So he's just, I think it's awesome that he's giving back and putting in. And not only that, but it is still a risk for Chiz to come do this. You know, like people got to realize that as well. Like he's going for SMX money and stuff. So, I mean. Yeah, he wants to play it safe, but at the same time earn as much money as he can for Jerry. But there's always a risk riding a Supercross track.
There is, but on the flip side, he does get like an extra practice here today too, right? Like he gets to roll in tomorrow with the track dialed in a little bit.
I think that after 20 years riding a Supercross track, I don't think it really matters for
He knows
Chiz.
what's going on.
I know.
So Kyle Chisholm going to lead them around. We got Kevin Moran's there on the number 146 machine. Like we said, Harlan, Hardy Munoz, Devin Simonson, Dylan Walsh here today. And Walsh actually got in as a wild card spot as well because he's got a Lewis Sucks, our buddy Lewis Phillips. Lewis Sucks butt patch on the 7 gear for
I'll have to
Dylan
agree
Walsh.
with Walsh. He's going to be my teammate up in Canada, so at least we can agree on something right off the bat.
Okay, right.
Lewis
Does hitting it off already.
Yes, Lewis does suck.
Oh, man.
I thought we were the award. I can tell you that. He did not win the media award.
I thought we mended fences now, Phil. What happened?
We're just acquaintances.
Okay.
So we're not friends, but
just acquaintances.
I'll give him a nod.
Logan Carnell, like we said, Justin Rodbell, the top finisher in the LCQ Challenge point standings coming into this as well. Talking about being at elevation here, I know you mentioned it with the two-stroke as well. 250 versus 450 dynamic, because we have 250 guys out here, right? Hardy Munoz, Devin Simonson, to name a few. Do you feel like they're at a big disadvantage here, or is it not that big of a difference as we make it out to be?
Honestly, it's almost the same as if it would be at sea level. I mean, you lose the same amount of percentage, I would assume, from 250 to 450. But, I mean, at this point, to get some of the jumps and get off the gate, you can't go against a 450. But I don't think the track is overly technical to where a 250 can't do some of the jumps that a 450 does. So I think they'll be okay.
Well, Weege, of the 250 riders, like we said, Hardy Munoz, Devin Simonson, Jack Chambers is here, and then Dylan Walsh, who we mentioned as well. Any of those guys you feel like are going to be guys that can mix it up and actually win this thing today based on what we've seen this year?
Simonson's a tough one to judge because he really just got back into racing, but he's been really good since he came back from the wrist injury. But my eyes are going to be on Hardy Munoz, and I don't even know from a results standpoint, just from a sending it standpoint. He's my son's favorite rider out there. You got to keep your eyes on the 87, who wise to the Verb crew. They actually got the camera on him right now. This should be really fun to see what Hardy can do, because he's definitely going to go for it. I guarantee you that.
Listen, I've been Munoz before in my career.
You called it. You've been chillied.
Yeah, I've been chillied. I'll never forget Indianapolis 2022.
You were crushing the whoops. You passed him in LCQ. You had him handled, and then what happened?
I fell asleep at the switch. I got chillied. I don't know.
You got chillied.
That race haunts me. And then 4 years later, still get nightmares about it.
We're still bringing it up. So I like the 250 guys being in there. Another guy I think to watch is going to be our guy Marshall Welton, who I can never figure out which week, which class he's going to be in.
Yeah.
He's been a little bit of both. We know he can ride well. He should be one of, if not the top guy in this, depending on what Marsh we get. I don't know.
I rip Marshall apart pretty hard during the weeks because I want to know what's happening to him on Saturdays. But he did find out he was running some stuff on a practice bike that he wasn't running on his race bike, which has a lot to do with setup, which he finally figured that out last weekend, which is 14 rounds into Supercross. So, and last weekend was his best weekend of the year from a riding standpoint. But I think Marsh can shake and bake out here today, so he can use the money.
So the Marsh we know and expect is finally here.
It's finally starting to come around. Yeah.
Good timing.
Better late than never.
Yeah, man. Good timing.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks to Fox Factory Vehicles. Find your dream vehicle today from foxfactoryvehicles.com and follow them on social at Fox Factory Vehicles to see the latest lineup from their incredible vehicles lineup that they have. So thanks to them. So we've got a few minutes left here in this practice session, and then these guys go racing as Hardy's already just going for full send mode right now, and Chiz taking a little bit of time there in the pits to check some stuff out, doing maybe some start practice. Man, this is also another thing to think about here, Phil. These guys only get basically one session, and then we got to go racing. How gnarly is that?
I'd be doing exactly what Chiz is doing right now, doing as many starts as possible, because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to. The track looks somewhat one-lined, and like Chiz does, kind of a veteran, he knows what's most important. So the race is won and lost on that starting gate right now.
Do you feel like in an 8-minute session that you actually learn the track? Like you know what the lines that you're going to be racing on are?
I mean, not really.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you do to an extent, but 8 minutes is more just kind of like, it's basically a free practice for a normal Supercross, and then you get 2 more time ones till you go racing. So they're just basically getting a free practice, and then they're going out to bang bars. So I'm actually really surprised that more people aren't doing starts. I mean, but a guy like Chiz or even Moran's, who are already good starters, maybe they're confident enough they don't need to.
You're right. Maybe they just are going to roll to the gate knowing what they've brought to the table here. Justin Starling just jumped to the top of the board. 55.166 for him. A little bit of a tenth of a second up there on Grant Harlan. So seeing some more of the familiar faces show their way to the front here in this PulpMX Yamaha LCQ Challenge. This is really nice to see how this track is shaped up, though, like you said, Phil. I mean, they definitely got the water into it because, I don't know, I know Weege, I think you just got in here today, but it was raining last night here, and some people were concerned, are there going to be tarps on the track? And then, of course, it dries out like crazy here thanks to the wind. Durworks has actually done a pretty good job here.
Yeah, and that's sand. I was surprised how much sand was on the track when I was walking it during press day earlier. Phil, you know, I walk the track because as a media guy, we really know what the real riding experience is like.
I can tell from up here, you guys could probably think you could do all those jumps no problem too.
It's so easy from 300 feet
Everything
away.
looks so rounded and mellow.
Oh, it's nothing. So Starling jumping to the top, as you mentioned, Kellen. So that's another contender there as we watch the 146. That's Moran's, who is the good starter, as you mentioned, Phil. But I don't know. I don't think this practice times, it's not really getting us a feel for it. It's been all over.
It is. I mean, 2-stroke top the first session, so definitely not getting us a feel just yet. But like Phil said, it does seem like whoever the guys are that are going to get the starts in this race really will do the damage in the first race. But as we talked about with strategy, is that a good thing? Because they're going to get out front and lead, but then they have to be at the back in the second race.
I think you got to take your best position in the first moto, and whatever happens in the second moto is where you're at. But if you can win or get second, at least you're going into the second moto with 1 or 2 points, and then the rest is history, and you kind of got to do the best you can. So You
Hey.
can't go in there banking on thinking you're going to go 4-4 and win the thing.
Right.
I just don't think that's possible.
Hey, as we mentioned, the raffle is still open, pulpmx.com/LCQ challenge. You guys can head over there. Still raffle to win this YZ450F and get those numbers all the way up. Like we said, over $100,000. Going to be exciting to give away a big paycheck here today, but it just keeps going, man. There's a lot of people who will watch the race today, too. You might even see this race on YouTube this afternoon and then decide to go, get involved in the raffle there. Could win a bike, but at the very least, you're supporting privateers.
Moran's went up by almost 0.6 of a second, which
Wow.
is kind of a big margin, because I have to think, those top 4 or 5 guys are all within the same talent pool, so half a second's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big marker at this point in time, like you said, because especially Harlan had just gotten right up there behind Starling, and now we're first guy into the 54-second range, 54.577 for Moran. So,
I mean,
what'd you see there?
Nah, Hardy's his send factor is unbelievable. I think if I had a little bit of that in me, I maybe would have done better in racing.
Jump the jumps, Phil.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what
not
these guys are
afraid to
doing.
jump the jumps. There's no doubt about it.
No,
But,
or send the whoops.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got a first-hand look at it. You got to see it at Indianapolis that time, like right up close.
Thanks for bringing it up again, Weege. Another dagger to the heart.
Oh, man, I think you better watch out. I mean, Phil might open the window to this booth right here and throw you overboard here. Checkered flag out in this session, though, so second qualifying or practice session done here, and then we're going to move into the racing here in just a moment. We're going to have a little bit of an opening ceremonies. I guess that we're playing Creed, My Sacrifice again.
Oh,
thanks to
geez.
Steve for
Things
doing
have just
that.
things
We're
have
not
just
doing the two-stroke Creed song?
I
We
would
can't?
like, can we have that
No,
as part
Steve
of the broadcast?
said no. I was
Okay,
really
well,
upset. He mustn't realize I have this big trophy here. Jeez, man. No respect.
Honestly, it's a measure of how good you are as a talent, Weege, that somehow that video is out online from last year, and you still won the award for best media.
Yeah,
member,
you think
so.
that might have disqualified me?
well,
yeah,
no,
I might have
no.
brought it down. They're like, but there's that. But there's that.
There
it just
is that.
sounded just like Lesher's bike.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lesher looking good too so far
It was.
today, man.
Well, I think we're seeing out of the two groups, though, these are the more guys that are right on the bubble each week. This second group that was just out, Moran, Starling, Harlan. Harlan, how is he even in this? How's Harlan even in this?
Yeah,
if you tell Harlan at Anaheim 1 you're going to be in this thing, he's not even pumped on it. Pumped on the money.
Yeah, I mean, last year, obviously, Grant came back last year from a pretty bad pelvis injury,
Yeah.
and then, but that was last year. I mean, as a racer, like you can kind of put that stuff aside and move forward. We're now a year later, and yeah, Grant hasn't got back to his 2023 form.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, where he
Yep.
was pretty savage.
Yep.
But he's been pretty far off of that recently. So, maybe
That's what I
today's the
like.
day.
When you look at the talent in this group, there's plenty of guys who are like, well, he should probably win. Well, no, he
Yeah,
should probably win. Well, he should probably win.
I agree. There's 6
Yeah.
guys where it's just like, they could probably win.
Yes.
Well, has practice changed either of you guys' opinion about who should or could win this?
No, it's all the same guys that are still up there that you would normally think.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's all these guys that were near the front in the challenge standings,
Yep.
and then a couple wild cards getting up there and mixing it up as well. Before we let you go here today, Jason Weigandt, do you actually have a pick for a winner here tonight?
I'm just going to go wild card. I'm going to pick Marsh. I feel like Marsh has the ability to do it. We have not seen it this year. Now, Phil, you just gave me some intel on he's got something better than he would have all season long. So I'm going to go Marshall Welton. How about that? I know Chiz should probably be the odds on, but I don't count him. He doesn't count. He's not even riding for himself. He doesn't count.
Well, Marsh, I talked to him early today. He said the starts are back, which is
Okay.
which is what has been missing a little bit of late. I don't know about the full race intensity, but he says they're back. I don't know if Phil's laughing.
Can I bash my buddy?
Bash him.
We get one good hole shot and our starts are back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Miraculously. all
I
right.
mean, you guys run on confidence,
see.
don't you? You get one, and then it spirals into 7.
I hope so.
We actually get to see what JT's hair looks like from the back. Never noticed that before.
That is something else.
Good aesthetic down there.
Yes,
Steve-
that's aesthetic.
Steve Mathis.
If anyone's
and,
watching this, please roast JT at any time.
I think they already are. I think they already have.
Yeah, the chat's going off.
Yeah.
Lock in, chat.
Yep. Here we go. We got the national anthem coming up, but we're going to go ahead and send Jason Weigandt off here. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Be back on the other side of this with Justin Brayton. Thanks, Weege, for joining us, buddy.
Thanks.
Thanks to Guts Racing for backing us as well. We got the Pulp 25 code to save with Guts Racing, so shout out to them for jumping on board. We welcome our fourth member of the broadcast booth here this evening, or this afternoon, I should say. Justin Brayton up here joining us, and great to have you, JB. How are you doing today, buddy?
Man, great to be here. This is going to be so much fun to watch, and good to see Phil. Good to see Phil in the booth. Like, what?
My palms are sweaty. I'm freaking out. It's more nervous up here than a 450 main event. So, yeah, I'm struggling a little bit, but we're hanging in there.
And how about the boys on their only 8-minute session, right? 8 minutes straight into racing. That's got to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like that. I need some time to get going. You know what I'm saying?
Takes the old man a little bit of time to warm up, huh?
Yeah, but there's no 3-ins out there, so I'm happy about that.
No, I see a couple.
There could be.
I don't see
I see
any,
a couple.
so there's a difference between me and you, but I just see some doubles, so I'm good.
Could you handle that, JB? 8 minutes of practice right into a race.
Yeah, I'm honestly I would like that because typically walking the track, you kind of know what jumps you're going to do. Phil doesn't see 3-ins like he said. I like the 3-ins. So, yeah, the hardest part is going to be going out there all in for the 6 minutes. Like typically we get obviously the qualifying through the day, and then you get that break. And then the heat race for me is always the hardest part of the day because you're just like full max heart rate, and you're like, how am I going to do 20 minutes later on tonight? Well, these guys have to turn around and do 6 minutes again. You know, invert the field. Like it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough indeed, and it's going to be exciting. We're going to go racing here in about 8 minutes or so time. Just asked Jason Weigandt before he walked out of here, but do you have a favorite going in tonight?
Well, the thing I think about is I like Moran's because of starts, and I think he'll get a great start in that first one. The second one, it's so difficult because how quick can you make passes? Can you do a rhythm land that no one else is doing? Can you get up the inside of somebody in the whoops? So I don't know. I just like Moran's because of that first race start. But, I mean, kind of anybody's race,
like,
really.
From a racer standpoint, you always think, like, before I go out there, I think of, like, 3 passing spots, you know? And this is real crucial, especially with the inverted start. So if I'm a guy that capable of qualifying top 5, you know, being top 5, like you're going to have 3 solid spots where you can make moves if you got to start 20th. So hopefully they thought about that.
Where are they at? You think whoops? Whoops is one of them, right? You get up the inside, maybe come out of that turn, get to the right side of them in the
maybe
whoops.
get close enough after the finish line, you know, cut underneath up the straightaway. So it's going to be hard after the on-off. Again, I'm not racing, so I really didn't focus on it, but I'm just saying you're going to need some spots out there to pass somewhere.
Well, there are a lot of bowl corners on this track. That obviously opens up passing opportunities. And then when you get these guys reset after that first race and there's still close quarters in racing, we might see guys just dive bomb, right, to get a better position right off the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go for it. There's so much money on the line, you have to go for it. And another thing, Phil, typically hard-packed soil here, right? The dirt's pretty good right now. It looks like they brought in some sand, kind of mix it up. So to Kellen's point, I think you are going to be able to cut down, maybe rail some berms, maybe like you wouldn't be able to typically here in Denver.
Like I said earlier, like Press State got pretty rutted and gnarly, but after they went in and reworked it and stuff, it didn't look like it got as rutted as after they did their 2 practices. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a little tough, but I think people are going to be trying to run it in on them, on other people and stuff. So I think today we see a couple mistakes.
I mean, look at this. We're getting even a little bit of track work in right before the main events begin here for these two guys, or for these guys in these 2 motor formats. So, yeah, the track is maybe going to be even a little bit better again. They're already refreshing it up for these guys out there.
And another kicker, I'm thinking, the first corner hasn't been ridden either. You know, it's no dirt bikes have went around it. So I'm curious to see how 20 guys coming into there not really thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. But also, we're at altitude. So do you start in first gear or do you start in second gear? That's up in the air. The guys have yet to do starts. So there's so many things up in the air, and that's why I don't think you've seen 3-ins yet. Second gear is maybe not quite enough. Is first gear going to run out? For me personally, riding up here at altitude, it was always tough. Like, it took me a practice session or 2 to get used to the motorcycle. I don't know what it was like for you, Phil, but that could be another thing these guys are dealing with.
Well, is first or second gear, do you have a preferred option for both of you guys off the start here in elevation?
I personally always went second, just
Second.
because first gear, it's just too much of a shift, too quick. And if it's a little bit hard pack and slick outside, you end up spinning faster. At least second kind of gets you clear a little bit. So, but like I was saying, JB, these guys, they had 8 minutes, and then they go straight into the race. Normally we get to go back if you want to go up a tooth in gearing or change mapping or this. It's literally run
Straight
what you're
to it.
wrong, and you're stuck with it,
Yeah.
you know? So curious to see.
But I mean, you've raced formats like that all over the world, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you just have to go to the gate, restart it again, and I mean, how do you mentally refocus for something like that too?
Well, typically it's not as difficult as it is here because, like Phil said, if you go to a normal race, you know you're running a 50-tooth rear sprocket. You know exactly what gear you're going to start in. Here, you don't know for sure. So, like Phil mentioned, typically you'd go back to the rig. Hey, I think we need to go up a tooth, or hey, let's change the mapping a little bit. Hey, what line were they doing over there? They don't get a chance to do that here. And I really think that's going to come into play with the start being so crucial here in this first main event and not knowing for sure. I'm with you, Phil. I would prefer second gear, but sometimes off that metal gray, I mean, they've probably tried practice starts, obviously all week, maybe detune the bike a little bit. I heard guys this week maybe changing the mapping to try to slow their bikes down just to try and get used to that less power, but there's nothing like being here at altitude.
Like I mentioned earlier, JB, like, if it's you and me, and I'm down to you have 8 minutes, yeah, you got to figure out the track, but I'd be down there banging out starts left and right because that's where it's won for 6 minutes. So I didn't see many people doing practice starts down there, which I saw Chiz do one and this and that, but I would at least try to get 5 or 6 in there and not really care about the laps. I mean, the basic line is a basic line. The starts, you come out first or second, it's a lot better than being 10th.
Did Chiz do one off the grate?
No, but you still, even off the dirt, you still get a feel of the RPM, like you've been around long enough, you kind of know what the feel's like. So that's what I would have been doing.
I like that. None of them have done starts yet. I love it. From up here, I love it. Down there, maybe not so much as a rider, but up here, I love it.
All right, well, Kyle Chisholm is going to go racing here, as will the rest of the field in just a moment. And Chiz being here in the first place is an awesome story. We caught up with his team manager, Dustin Pipes, down at the Twisted Tea Progressive Suzuki team earlier to hear what he had to say about Kyle Chisholm being in this race.
Well, I think Steve actually sent me a text, and I read it for like 10 minutes and didn't know how to reply back to it. And I was like, man, is there a way for me to get out of it? Because I don't want him to get hurt. And then I thought about it some more, and I was like, this is for Jerry. It's a rad idea. Chiz always wants to race, even though he's 45 years old. I think that's his age. So it's like I didn't want to like stop him from racing, and just it's just a great cause. And Chiz has won it before, and if we can raise some money for him, that would be great. So after we thought it over, it's kind of like a no-brainer. Yeah, I didn't even tell the sponsors, so they don't even know he's doing it yet, but they'll find out today.
This thing.
Yeah, I think the fact that Chiz has won so many races, being in the last chance and stuff, I think it, I hope it'll work out well for him. I think the 6 minutes plus 2, that's kind of his like niche, I would like to say. So just like him being smart, him being a veteran, and hopefully he gets a good result the first one, and he can be smart and work his way through the pack. I definitely want to see him win. If not, get on the box, because I think raising a big amount of money just for Jerry, the work that Steve and Pulp has done and the guys at Verb, just putting this on, and the amount that they raise for the guys that are racing just is a really, really big deal. And obviously with what Jerry's going through, we want to help him out.
All right, so our Luxon rider to watch here today will be, in fact, Kyle Chisholm. Luxon clamps, use the code PULP25 to save with Luxon clamps. Made in the USA to the best specifications, different offsets, Club MX, fast for ready to use them, LuxonMX.com. And this is our rider to watch right here. Kyle Chisholm subbing in for Jerry Robin. I mean, really cool, like Dustin Pipes said there, what he is doing today here for Jerry Robin. I mean, we talked about it with Jason Weigandt, but for you, Justin Brayton, I mean, he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart and just going racing and trying to make some money for Jerry.
Can I change my pick?
Okay.
I'm going Kyle Chisholm.
Okay.
Going Kyle Chisholm. And obviously what he's doing for Jerry is amazing. Shout out to Jerry. Yeah, just really special. And for Dustin to obviously let Kyle do this, I'm sure everybody involved is supporting this, including everybody, all the fans and everyone watching. So, and watching Chisholm there in practice, he obviously looked good. I was watching it over there with Adam Cianciarulla, and AC's like, And I feel like Chisholm could like ride like this until he's 90. Like he's, you know, it's not like he's gonna blow your doors off with this amazing speed and do this quad or anything. But Phil, the speed that he has, it looks so attainable lap after lap after lap, and it's not like he's going slow. He's still really fast.
Yeah, and he does it with such precision. Like, yeah, you know, we all have mistakes, this and that, but Chiz, like, he'd rather ride 95% for 20+1 than trying to hit 101% and putting himself on the deck. He's always been like that. Obviously, the odds and it ends crashes that he's had, but for the most part, he's very calculated and he doesn't go way out of his comfort zone. Obviously, LCQs, he somehow always finds his way into a transfer spot, which he's always been good. So I like his starting spot, to be honest with you. There on I like the outside a little bit more just because of that berm after the finish line, how it makes the first corner super tight. And I don't know if I'd want to be on the inside, to be honest.
I was going to ask you about that because he's subbing in for Jerry, obviously. I think Jerry ended up 14th or 15th in the LCQ point standing. So, yeah, that forces him to 14th gate pick basically here today, and it works out well for him, you think?
Yeah, I think just the way the first corner is going to flow around to the outside, and I think Chiz's bike's really good, and they have a bunch of data from the past few years at altitude, and Jamie from Twisted Developments does their engine, so I think they got a pretty good overall base map compared to most people on that starting line.
There's Steve running the show down there, trying to make sure everyone knows that they're in their good spot, ready to go, and I mean, we talked about it already a little bit, JB, but what Steve's done here for these privateers, I mean, it has to be commended, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, huge shout out to obviously Steve for doing this, but all the PulpMX fans that donate, and it's so cool for these privateers. Steve's been a big fan of the privateers for a long time, and shout out to JT's guns right there. I mean, look, Steve's the man, but look at JT.
I asked JT if he did some push-ups before he walked here into this broadcast room. I'm like, geez, dude.
Look at those things, just ripping that Fly Racing shirt. You know, it's like Fly should make a medium shirt with XL sleeves.
I think they just still make a medium that JT fits into every week. Like, that's a secret line of clothing they make just for JT, I think.
JT always looking good. But yeah, I mean, what Steve does for the privateers is amazing. But Phil, check this out. So Chisholm's lined up there. He's lined up around some good guys. So you have Moran's there. You have Harlan next to him. You have Welton. So kind of interesting, right? Like on the outside, I'm with you. I like that starting position. But typically when you're out that far, you're next to guys that aren't that great of starters. Not here today. He's next to some good starters.
All right, so we should have our parade lap going here in just a moment's time, and that, of course, will lead us into our Midnight Sailor Award. And the Midnight Sailor Award voting now open on verbmoto.com. So we'll have a bit of a look at these guys over the finish line jump. And this is, for those of you following along at home, this is where on the finish line jump, they'll do a massive air wheelie. And they'll be able to win some money for those who vote for that person to win, and then a voting committee will also determine that. Are either of you guys good with the air wheelies?
I can do okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm out. I think I'd totally loop out. I'm out. I have seen Checkers do a lot of them. You know, I mean, Checkers grew up racing each other in Iowa, and he's the king of air wheelies. So shout out to Checkers at home, I'm sure.
Well, he was here earlier.
Oh, is he here?
Yeah, we chatted with him about it, and yeah, so these guys going out there, it looks like A-Rod was confused if everyone was going or not, but no jackets on the parade lap either. Anybody keeping tabs on that at home? A little bit toasty out here today, no jackets.
JB, how many of those guys you think just did that start and you're just like, oh, God, I'm screwed right now?
Oh, now should I do second again?
Yeah,
or should I try first? Or what do I do?
Dude, I can only imagine the stress right now.
Yes, so true.
All right, so parade lap out there. Not too many guys going for the Midnight Sailor Award. A couple guys. I think that was Simonson that just tried it. A couple guys rolling the finish line jump. So not only a handful actually went for it, but that's okay. Maybe they'll do it before the second moto or something along those lines as well. Yeah, so this track is looking pretty good. We're about to go racing here in just a moment's time, and you guys have talked so much about this start. Pretty long start, almost the full length of the stadium, and I was actually talking with Phil before we started here, JB. This berm that's on the inside of turn number 1, how tricky is that, especially if you're on those inside gates, to kind of navigate, like, not getting in a position where you go up on that inside lip?
Yeah, it's really challenging, and it's why I believe Phil mentioned that outside starting position that Chisholm is in, why he would like that. Just you can judge your stopping point a lot more. You can drive it in a little bit deeper. Then the entrance is better, which then makes your middle and your exit a little bit better. The only thing, if you don't get there in a good position on the outside, typically then you look at the second turn you're going to be on the outside again for the second turn. So if you do get there at a decent position on the inside, you'll have the inside again for the second turn. And sometimes, Phil, the second turn is as important as the first.
Yep, I agree 100%. Or you're going to end up in the Utah Sports Commission hay bale.
Here's the air wheelers. Now we have them going on.
Yeah, Midnight Sailor Award going down on the finish line jump. Saw a couple good ones already. Looks like we got Lesher coming around. Let's see what he's got for us. Nice little kick out right there, yeah. You guys can live vote this if you want. I mean, give your opinions. Who's looking sharp out there?
Simonson, pretty solid. Look at Chiz. Chiz has even got some good one.
Got a little Bubba Polly action right there. Dylan Walsh going over the finish line. That was Rod Bell with a little bit of style. A little flair right there. Scott Meshy. Nice, leaning forward on the bike. These guys are definitely going for it. Little no-footer there for Munoz.
If there wasn't a corner directly after it, it might give him a little more wiggle room. But if you get a little loosey-goosey, you're going to be risking over the Dunlop.
That one was pretty solid.
Almost. Dominic Thury almost yard sailed afterwards right there, trying to corral it back together. So
I feel like Simonson's maybe. Yeah, that wasn't too bad there. Simonson, I think he gets my vote.
Phil, got a vote?
There's so many here. I don't even know. I'm going to go Thury.
All right, Thury. Phil's got to vote for Thury right there. And then you guys as well can vote online, so definitely check that out. That would be over at verbmoto.com. I believe you guys can get up there and vote. All right, starts coming up here in just a minute. It is Get Nervous time here in the PulpMX LCQ Challenge. And here's your starting order. Rod Bell, Meshy, Lane, Carnow, Schlosser, Starling, Welton, Lesher, Williams, Rodriguez, Leitzel, Harlan, Chiz, a.k.a. Jerry Robin today, Morans, Pauly, Kozad, Greco, Chambers, Munoz, Thury, Walsh, and Simonson. So you got Chiz, JB.
Yep.
And you're thinking Marsh?
You're biased, dude.
No,
I
didn't know. I
Come
didn't
on,
even,
Marsh
even,
is cool. We all love Marsh.
I'm harsh on Marsh. I want Simonson.
On a 250?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. On a 250,
I know
Simon's
it's
a great rider.
Remember, outside gate.
And he's no, Devin's way inside.
Oh, he did. He got a sneaky inside one there.
You know, but I don't know, JB. I know you're my buddy and all, but for about 30 grand, I'd be punting you back. I'd punt you back to Iowa.
Honestly, I wouldn't blame you. I would not.
You'd wake
blame
up
you.
laying in a cornfield wondering what happened.
Oh, man. All right. So we are just about ready to go racing. A little bit of tunes going on inside of the stadium. I can't hear what we're actually playing right now. There's the whole shot line, though. Important, obviously, to get off the gate, get out to the whole shot in this one, as you guys have mentioned a few times. And this is going to be a good one. Motorsport moment of the race. We'll call it as well as we see it during the race. If you guys got one that jumps off the page at you, there we go. Now the Creed is ripping through the stadium. And this is Steve's jam right here.
Do you think these guys are more nervous right now because for this race than, like, let's say a 450 actual LCQ?
Yes.
Yes, 100%, right?
Well, let's be
You gotta
honest. Like, I don't want to say life-changing money.
Yeah.
This could change their whole year.
Yeah.
This could change 2025 for any of these racers on the line right here. So for sure, there's a lot on the line.
And I just go back to thinking of a guy like Jeremy Hand who does Supercross, motocross, and SMX. Like a guy like Marsh, like a lot of points for SMX stuff comes from outdoors. You know, so Marsh still has a potential chance of racing the last three of the SMX races, where Jeremy Hand's out on 30 grand, where Marsh could potentially still make 30 grand plus the SMX money. So,
well, we're talking around 30K, Phil.
Yeah.
To make 30K tomorrow night, you're gonna have to be second place in a 450 main event.
Really? Is it second? Is that how much the salary? I
mean,
don't even.
right,
I don't
right
even
around
know.
there. Right. That's the quality that you would have to be at tomorrow. It probably around 50K or so for second in the 450 class, but still, like there's a lot of money here. This is gonna be fun to watch.
All right, here we go. 30 card is up, and the nerves are fully set in for these guys on the gate. 6 minutes plus a lap for race one. Then we stop it, invert them, and send them off again. 30 card is sideways, revs are up. Let's go racing in the PulpMX LCQ Challenge.
Coming from the outside, Harlan.
Scott Meshy up the inside with Harlan to the outside. Who's going to get there first? Meshy by a nose is going to get there on the 411. Harlan to the outside's right alongside of him, but it is going to be Scott Meshy who leads early on. Chiz up the inside trying to make a move on the 77. How about Harlan over the finish line jump? Is he going to shoot into the race lead right here? He is. Grant Harlan to the race lead. Chiz trying to fight back to the outside, but it's Hard Dog out front.
Harlan out front right now. Chisholm in second. watch when they come to the whoop section. Kyle Chisholm was crushing the whoops earlier today in practice. He might just go around him in this rhythm lane, Phil.
Yeah, he got a triple there in the rhythm lane. And Harlan goes down.
Oh, no.
Front end tuck there for Grant Harlan, and he is going to watch the whole field go by. Those slick conditions from the moisture coming up, like you said, Phil, already at play. So Chisholm out front early on in this one as Kevin Moranz, moves into second place around Scott Meshy. You got Hunter Schlosser up there in the 4th spot, Bubba Pauly in 5th, and then Simonson, the first 250 rider, in 6th. But Chiz already opened up a little bit of a gap out front.
Yeah, Chiz already to a decent-sized lead, and there's not many people better to manage a lead like this than Kyle Chisholm, especially with this competition. Kevin Moran's in 2nd, but Chiz just going to click off his laps right here. He's got a lot of lean angle. But going back to what Harlan did, so they prepped the track a little bit, and it's pretty slippery in the turns, Phil. They're getting a lot of moisture in there, and Chisholm, he's smart with that, right? They're already cutting underneath, getting that line going.
Yeah, Chiz is getting that 2-3 in that long rhythm lane. But Chiz is, I'll be honest with you, at the moment, for me, the race is over just because Chiz is so good at managing these things, and he can keep a 3-second gap all day long and know exactly where he's at. So
Simonson making some passes, gets around Pauly for 5th.
I think in the long game here, I think Devin's going to be one of the more versatile guys. I think he'll be able to make some passes here in the next main event as well.
Well, it's not only just the power to get over these triples and stuff, Kellen. It's even in the whoops. Honestly, I would say next to the start, the whoops is probably where you're the most underpowered on these 250s at altitude.
Yeah, Simonson's making it work so far, like you said. Got that pass on Bubba Pauly, and it seems like he's already starting to make some inroads onto Hunter Schlosser up just ahead of him. You got Scott Meshy kind of getting caught by Schlosser as well, so that's turned into a good fight. We're watching Zach Williams battling it out here with Hardy Munoz. These guys are just battling for 10th place, actually. Williams in that 10 spot. And remember, with the field inverted, these guys would start basically where they finish in that mid-pack battle, so that also is not the worst position to start in. Munoz trying to get down the inside of Williams into this corner. Let's see if he goes for it. Got to watch out for that front end talk like we saw Harlan just have. And it looks like Munoz did finish off that pass. We also got a pass being made right here. Starling trying to get down the inside of Bubba Pauly into the whoops. Going to out-drag him into the whoops. And look at to the outside. Your guy Marsh gets around Pauly as well.
He's coming. You got to think every single pass is going to be worth a couple grand in about 10 minutes. So it's pretty much do or die.
How about Rodriguez now making the pass on Pauly as well? And Rodriguez, he's been fast all season long. Marsh, he's got some company right now.
Yeah, this is turning into a bit of a freight train right here because Rodriguez is also bringing Hardy Munoz with him, who just got around Bubba Pauly as well. So this is a fantastic fight we're watching on screen here for 6th place. Definitely the top 5 kind of opening up a little bit of a gap, but Starling leading this freight train. Marshall Welton got Anthony Rodriguez, Hardy Munoz. Then a little bit back of that, also getting around Zach Williams, moved around Bubba Pauly, who's working his way back a little bit. But good fight right here. Who's got the upper hand, though, of this battle, you guys think?
I think Starling looks pretty good out front. He was good in these whoops last lap around. Let's see what Marshall can do right here. Both of them electing kind of go middle and to the right side there, not able to get the triple out of this turn. And Phil, I like what they're starting to do right here. They are protecting. Well, I don't like that line by Starling just going roll, but this inside right here, I don't mind that, but Starling actually held the Marshall up.
Yeah,
and Marshall's going to get past because of it.
Yeah, Rodriguez went around the outside. You can't follow the leader, Marsh Dog. But low-key, Munoz is one of the better ones in the whoops. I kind of looked off screen, cheated a little bit, but
Marshall pass.
There it
Marshall
is.
Welton gets them both. Oh, and look at Munoz down the inside in the background, gets Rodriguez, and he's going to chill by Justin Starling on the triple to make that pass up into 7th place. So now Starling, he's like, what just happened? Everyone just got around me.
Those 2 or 3 turns from Marshall Welton, you said 2 or 3 grand, Phil. That might have been like a 10 grand on 2 laps right there to be able to get by those guys.
And you also got to remember the top blue crew as well, which is another $200 thanks to Cooper Webb. I'm glad he could pull $200 out of his tight wallet to help out the privateers.
Tristan Lane's starting to make some moves. He's up into the top 10. He just got around Rod Bell. Zach Williams also sliding back to the 12th spot now as we see him on our screen there. But yeah, Lane on the 7-11 trying to go to the outside of Starling. Turns back to the inside here. Not able to make the move just yet. It's still Kyle Chisholm leading by about 4.5 seconds over Kevin Moranz, Hunter Schlosser, then Scott Meshy, and Devin Simonson. But this fight in the mid-pack is insane.
And I want you people, everyone watching, remember, last year it was 12 points to win the 30 grand, okay? So someone that's still in 6, let's say Marsh, can go 6-6 and get, 12 points, you still have a potential chance to win this thing. So it's not over.
Yeah, that's kind of the sweet spot right there. Obviously, Chisholm's going to be great. He's going to be able to come to the pack, but how far can he get up in main event number 2? But you look at like Simonson, Welton, Munoz, that right there, those guys are absolutely still in this thing.
And they're going to line up next to each other when it's inverted, so you know they're going to be going to the death as well. So.
Motorsport moments of the race. I think we're going to have to give it to Chiz getting around Grant Harlan when he went down right there at the beginning of the race, because he's taken off with this thing. Hey, enter the Motorsport Ultimate Ride. Win a 2025 Yamaha YZ450F. This launches on May 10th. Head over to motorsport.com/win to win a 2025 Yamaha YZ450F. And yeah, Chiz getting around Grant Harlan on that opening lap has just taken off with this thing, looking comfy out front. And if this is how he looks in this race, how do you think he's going to do coming through the field?
He might be a little bit more sporadic trying to bust moves, but like at the moment he's just like all day pace drinking beer on a golf course. You know, like it looks like he can do this all day long.
Well,
he's sorry, Kellen. He's just so poised, right? Like he's came through the pack before. I remember a few weeks ago he was in a last chance qualifier and he was like 6th or 8th, and he was so patient. And he comes up and he ends up winning the race, so he could absolutely do that in main event 2 here in a little bit.
Time has expired, and the white flag is waving this time by as Kyle Chisholm checks in out front. Still Moran's in the 2 spot, Schlosser in 3rd. Simonson was able to get around Scott Meshy and move into 4th. And I'll tell you who's on the charge right now. Hardy Munoz has made it up to the rear fender of Scott Meshy, trying to get into the top 5 late in this one. These 250 boys are not messing around here today.
Munoz is the fastest guy on the track right now by a second.
So we'll
he's
see.
Still charging.
We'll see if he can get that closed down. We see Moran's there in the 2 spot as Chiz pulling away ever so slightly lap after lap. 4.2 second lead now. And I think he's just going to bring this thing home rather easily. A few corners to go for the 77 here of Kyle Chisholm.
Yeah, so cool to see Chiz doing this for Jerry Robin. Hopefully he can back it up here in just a little bit. But Kellen, 1 turn to go.
There we go. Kyle Chisholm's going to bring it down to the checkered flag. Chiz on top, repping Jerry Robin. He wins race 1 of the PulpMX Yamaha LCQ Challenge. And in the background, Munoz was indeed able to get around Scott Meshy to move up into 5th. Almost got to Simonson for 4th right at the end there as well, as you see him going over the line. So top 5, Chisholm, Moran, Schlosser, Simonson, and Munoz.
I was actually really impressed by Munoz's speed in that race and his whoop speed.
How about 250s, though? 4th and 5th. That's pretty solid.
Legit.
Legit indeed. So Chiz takes a bit of a victory lap around the stadium there as we wait for the rest of the field to finish this off. And as you guys see the running order there, we get to invert this now. So Starling, who had a bit of a bad race there, looks like he is going to go off first. Josh Greco, Kozad as well, going to lead the field in. And Chiz has got to start at the back now. Going to be fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Kyle Chisholm starting at the back. And I like where a guy like Hardy is. We mentioned it earlier, Phil, but right there in that 5th place position, he's not going to have to pass guys like Chisholm and Moran's. And then his biggest deficit would have been that main 1 off the start, right?
Yep.
And you said his whoop speed is good. He's carrying a ton of entry speed into those whoops. So if he's got the most speed, he's not quite as back of the pack as a guy like Chisholm and Moran's. This could be Munoz.
And from a racer standpoint, Munoz is the only one that was really passed. Chiz hasn't passed anybody.
Yep.
Guts Racing bringing you guys the podium interviews here today. And JT looks like he's down there with Kyle Chisholm.
Well, thank you, guys. Now, Kyle, I think you're probably the fan favorite, as all the money you win here is going to help Jerry Robin, which is an awesome cause. I speak for myself and say that was fun to watch you win. Now, talk to us about a little bit about that race 1, and also what's going to be your strategy starting last here in race 2.
Yeah, that was a good race. We got a normal start that time. Didn't get the best start, a little late off the gate. Made some quick passes, though. Little gift with Grant sliding out there the first lap, and tried to just get a little lead and then just maintain it. The track, it's slick right now because obviously it's still pretty fresh. They put sand on the track here, too, so it'll be good for tomorrow, but a little bit skatey right now. So try to get a good few laps, get a little lead, and then just maintain it. The whoops are tough, though. I think they got rain overnight, and they're actually getting pretty cupped out and then pretty hard. So definitely had an advantage there, but definitely they're tricky. So a couple rhythms I was able to do too that I don't think the other guys are doing yet. So that helped me for sure. But yeah, the second moto, it's gonna be tricky. So I did the announcing last year up with Cade, and it was fun to watch. I don't know how fun it's gonna be to race it like this, but man, happy to be out here. at least I got a 1 on the board for Jerry. And yeah, try to go out there and be smart, have fun in this next one. And yeah, man, I think I'm gonna just try to just pick guys off one at a time, as quick as I can, and see how far I can get up to.
So when you're in the lead like that, you're able to kind of pick your way around. Were you thinking about this race too, about trying to figure out places to pass? Because you're going to be 22nd on that first lap.
That's what's going to be tough. Like I said, the track, it's pretty slick. Like half the track, they didn't ride for press, obviously. So it's fresh for us besides the 8-minute practice that we got. So there's not a lot of lines really worked in. If you kind of go out at main line right now, little greasy as you saw with Grant going down. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make passes. Like I said, I'm just going to be smart, pick and choose the spots where I make the passes, and try to stay out of the craziness that's probably going to be going on out there. And should be fun, though. Like I said, have some fun, raise some money for Jerry. And yeah, that's the main goal.
I think there's a lot of people cheering for you. We'll send it back to the booth.
Thanks, JT. Guts Racing bringing you guys this podium interview. Pulp 2025, the code to save. Complete seats, covers, and vintage stuff. Guts.com for more info. And race 1 now in the books. Wild one for sure. A lot of good passing in the midfield, as we already saw here in that first race. And I feel like it's only going to get better now coming into race 2.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything yet. It's about to get really, really wild. I did notice, so Starling, something must happen to Starling. He's going to be first out here. I don't know if anybody catches him, Phil. He's been riding pretty good, and to see him at the front.
No one's going to catch Starling. That's not my own personal opinion, but he's a 450 legit main event guy. He's got a lot of speed. He's got that one on lock.
And how about those 250 guys, right? Coming through from not so good starts from either outside or far inside gate picks for Devin Simonson's case. End up 4th and 5th in this race, those two guys. So seems like they're able to make passes through to get through the field. Can they do it again in race 2?
Do we have a one to watch? Is there any sort of like award for one to watch? Because Hardy's going to be the one to watch. Look, keep all eyes on Hardy this entire main event. That's going to be the one to watch. And he's ripping, like to Phil's point, he's going really fast, but there's going to be a few moments in between there somewhere.
Yeah, and again, like JT as Chiz, like he didn't pass anybody out there. Hardy and the other 250 and Devin, like they already have all their passing points. They know where they can push the limits, inside the corners where it's a bit muddy and stuff. So I'm curious to see where Chiz can get to, like, vice versa, where Hardy can get to. So we'll see. I think, again, 12 points won it last year. Is it going to be the same thing this year? So we'll see.
Well, you guys mentioned obviously Starling leading the field in, but all those guys at the back, we kind of briefly talked about it there for a minute. How quickly do you make passes if you're in their situation? Like, is it corner after corner you got to try to rip through these guys because it's such a short race?
It's got to be every corner.
Yeah,
every corner have to for 6 minutes. I mean, because there are a couple corners, like the corner before the whoops. Like there are some passing spots where it's going pretty much one line where the on-offs are. It's just inside. So, yeah, I think we're going to see some paint rubbing out there.
Some paint rubbing indeed, which is JB's forte. You come from the arena cross background a little bit, and you know what it's like to have to make quick passes like that. How do you mentally get into a mindset where you have to be that aggressive that fast too?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kellen. And honestly, a lot of it's just there's so much on the line, right? There's so much money on the line for Kyle Chisholm. There's so much to benefit to Jerry. There's a lot on the line there. So I think you have to go for it. And like I said, maybe it's not life-changing money, but for sure their 2025 year has changed. If you can get top 3, top 5 here, put a bunch of money in the bank, I mean, that'll last you the whole year and maybe their biggest payday, well, for sure of the entire year, but maybe of their racing career. Now, there's a lot of money on the line. One thing about Chisholm, obviously he's going to be trying to pass the best guys in the race right away. So if he can make some quick passes early, I mean, that'll totally change his race for the better.
Yeah, well, both of you guys, I think, have experienced staggered starts in your career, right? So even that, like, how is that to kind of, like, get lined up and see your closest competitors basically right in front of you? Because it's something that up until a few years ago, no one had ever experienced. Just talk about that as well.
Personally, I think it keeps everything a lot tighter, where you think you have a gap on somebody, like the previous one, you have 2-3 second gap. But right now, everyone's going to be... Yeah, I really don't know how you manage it because for Chiz, like he wants to do the best possible thing, but he can't throw it away either like Grant did trying to send it in a corner where he hasn't been for the past 6 minutes. So I'm curious to see where he can make it to.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Grant Harlan going down early. He was able to get into, trying to see what position, 11th. So Harlan 11th, that could be a little bit of a spoiler in this as well because we saw last year 210 won the overall for Josh Hill. If Harlan's on an 11, you flip the field, he's in front of all those guys as well.
he could actually come up and maybe win this thing and spoil the whole thing.
He's in this thing for sure. There's no doubt about it. If he could come to, let's say, second or third, put a low score on the board. I think Starling is that out front. Obviously, I don't think he's going to win it, the overall, but I just don't see anybody catching him with clear track, like Phil said. He's a main event guy. He's a great rider. He actually caught my eye earlier in practice today, just how well he was riding. So curious what happened. Maybe, and also there's not a lot of time. So if he did have a decent-sized crash, if his bike is banged up or anything, there's not time to fix it. So who knows exactly how he's feeling out there. But I like Harlan, Phil. I think he's going to go through the pack pretty quick.
You think 11-1 will get it done?
I don't think he gets a 1, but I think an 11-2. I don't think it gets it done, but I think it gets him some good money.
11-2, it'll be really close because I think the guys that are in front of him, I think he can pass. But again, when I look at that lineup, there's still some decent guys that ride really good between 1 and 9, 1 and 11. So, yeah, I don't know.
You got guys like Tristan Lane, Rodriguez. Rodriguez was riding well until he made a couple mistakes. So for Chisholm to go through guys like that, or even Kevin Moran's to go through Munoz and Welton and Rodriguez, it's no easy task. So I wish Phil was on the track, though. I wish Phil was one of the wild card spots. Where would you be right now? Would you put a 1 on the board? Do you have Chisholm covered or no?
I'd have just go.
Oh, wow. I think it just kind of called him out right there. Wow.
Why don't you go get geared up and show us what you're really made
They
of?
wouldn't let me. None of those guys that were on that line let me.
Come on.
Oh, there was big old meltdowns about it. So I tried, it's 30K, why not?
Yeah. All right, motorsport.com, of course, giving us our moments of the race. I kind of said, Grant going down early, Chiz getting by. Anything else stand out for you guys? Obviously, some good charges through the field, but any other moments really stand out?
Grant Harlan, how much do you think he actually hates himself right now, to be honest with you?
That was a big mistake.
Yeah, I mean, Grant is still he's still a young kid. He looks a lot older than what he is, but to make that sort of mistake with that sort of opportunity, it's kind of a kick in the butt to have that happen. So, but he does have a chance. Like you said, he got to 11th. He has a good chance to still make, for sure, a podium.
Reminds me a little bit, Freddie Noren a couple of years ago was in the lead of this race and threw it away. But he did not get the reprieve because it was just one race, right? So this time at least Harlan gets to make amends to that, turn it around. And I guess after a crash like that for either of you guys maybe just refocus, right? Get back into the zone that you were in at the start of the race because it worked, obviously.
Yeah, you hit yourself later back to the truck. Right now you kind of got to block it all out and regroup. But, still in a good position.
And sometimes that's when you ride your best, right? You end up crashing, you tuck the front out front, and then you get up and you're like,
brain off.
You turn your brain off and you ride off instincts. And that's typically when everyone rides their best, no matter what sport you're in. You talk about getting in the zone. Well, that's what it is. You just basically turn your brain off, ride like you know how to ride. And if he can transfer that into this main event too, it'll be good for him.
Justin Starling lining up first for us down there on the gate, and the inverted order looks like it is ready to go. Josh Greco, Austin Kozad, Dylan Walsh, Logan Leitzel, Logan Carnow, Bubba Pauly, Dominic Thury, Jared Lesher, and Jack Chambers. Pretty much a lot of the guys other than Starling we really didn't see a lot of in the first race, so that's another cool thing about this format. When we flip the field and these guys are suddenly leading, it puts the spotlight on them as well. It kind of gives the whole field a little bit of a spotlight throughout the entire race format.
It's wild to think a guy like Hardy, who's 18th, he's lining up 18th. He had to pass Meshi. He had to pass Welton. He had to pass Rodriguez all about 3/4 of the way through that race. Now he's lined up behind him again. So, Phil, to your point about picking places, Hardy maybe has an advantage here of like, okay, I got Marshall in this turn. He was a little bit slow here. Like, he's already read these guys. He knows their strengths. He knows their weaknesses. That could be advantage Hardy lining up here.
And low-key, he looks like you in the whoops. He's got the whoop speed down, and I think for him on a 250 to be able to do that against the 450 guys, that's a huge advantage.
FXR bringing you guys race 2 coming up here in just a moment. PulpMX 30 is the code to save, of course, back in Club MX. Guys like Jerry, Privateers, Phil Nicoletti, everyone is a big FXR fan. And yeah, obviously supporting you for your soiree heading up to Canada here soon. But what's it like being part of the FXR family?
I've been with those guys for, going on my 7th year now. So they're like family to me. Milt's great. He still owns the company. He's an enthusiast of the sport. He loves riding. I think he loves riding more than me, to be honest with you.
Well, to your point, Phil, I was at Club MX a couple weeks ago, and I was riding, and Milt's out there motoing as well. So I rode with Milt a little bit, and he rides really, really well. So, it's cool to see him out there.
Andy White's a really good friend of mine, and he tells me, it's hard to even get Milt to sit down to talk about business because he's so focused on riding and he's so passionate about it. It's crazy to see somebody that's in his 60s that's still so in love with two-wheel racing.
Yeah, and he's obviously built a bit of an empire, too, with this brand, right? So much has been made of what they've done in the moto scene of late. Getting a win this year with Jordan Smith was obviously huge for the brand as well. So FXR, man, it just keeps on rising up. Use that code PulpMX30, like I said, to save. And awesome to have FXR on board with the broadcast. We're getting these guys lined up.
Hopefully the budgets at FXR were already set before Phil came out of his retirement. Did you work that out, Phil?
Isn't this part of your deal?
Or?
I don't know what part of the deal. This is supposed to be a PulpMX deal for me, but now I got so many jobs for Pulp, I'm actually working for free nowadays, so I don't even know which way's up or down anymore. But from the FXR standpoint, everything's good, and they actually have some really big news coming out here pretty soon, which is, I think, going to blow the industry pretty soon. So
nice, some breaking news. You want to just break it on
here?
Come on,
nobody's
just lay it
down for us,
Phil.
I don't get paid enough to make those calls.
Also, thanks to Luxon. Luxon was formed to apply our vast engineering expertise and technology to our motocross passion. Motocross is rather young in terms of engineering technology, and Luxon is out to challenge the status quo, offering advanced performance products. And, of course, they gave us our Luxon 1 to watch in this race, which was Kyle Chisholm in race 1, and he did the deed there, got the job done, but now he's got to start from the back and do it all again.
Okay, so I'm going to... Hardy's in front of Devin, okay? Everyone knows Hardy's send factor, okay? If you're Devin, do you just sit behind Hardy and try and pounce on the mistake if Hardy does run it in on another 450 guy? Because, I mean, Hardy could go down, maybe take one extra person down with him, and Devin could get a 2-for-1 special.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to get caught up in it, right? Like, that's the hard part. Also, is going to be hard for Devin to pass Hardy. Like you said, we've talked about it all show, just how much speed Hardy has had. But I'm just watching... There on your screen, this line is almost the whole length of the start straight. So I'm just doing in my head from Starling to Chisholm across the white line on the finish line. Like, how many seconds is Chiz going to be back, you think? Is he already going to have a 10-second deficit or something like that? It's going to be a big deficit, yeah.
It is going to be a long time because, you think that they all go at once, but the reality is they kind of all like stop, go a little bit as the green flag waves. And obviously you can't pass before that white line either. So everyone's kind of slowing down a little bit, making sure they're all good there. And this could open up quite a bit. Chiz is going to have his work cut out for him in this race.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. There you see all the guys right there getting ready to go. And you want to talk about being nervous before the first gate drop. I think I'd be more nervous for this, Phil, just because you're so close. There's so much on the line. The only thing now, you do know the track. So that's one part that you're not as nervous about. But I'm sure heart rates are... What was your heart rate sitting right here right now? 130, 140, something like that?
About 140.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, for everyone watching, just sitting there. You look down at your heart rate monitor, and you know, if you're on the line with other guys, you're like trying to hide it because like, oh, I don't want him to see I'm already 140 right now before the gates even drop. So... yeah, these hearts are beating out there, no doubt.
You got your heart rate monitor on today, Phil? We got it tuned up here in the box too, or
my
no?
stress level nowadays is way down. So
well, you said it feels like a main event up here, though.
It does feel like a main event to an extent with the money that's on the line.
All right, looks like we are getting these guys fired up and ready to go. That 30 card is going to go up in just a moment, and we'll be off for race 2 of the Yamaha PulpMX LCQ Challenge. Justin Starling leading them down, but of course, 2-moto format, lowest score wins based on Olympic scoring. So at the end of this, as we saw with Josh Hill last year, a 210 got the job done. What's the number going to be today?
I'm going to have to go around about the same. But right now I'm looking at that staggered line, and people can't really see it off screen, but everyone's lined up in a certain way. But I'm looking at Moran's, and he's lined up a different way than everybody else.
Got that angle down to the side a little bit. Yeah, trying to make a quick snipe pass as they get across the line. But here we go. 30 card is up. It's just about to go sideways, and then the green flag will wave, sending these guys back into turn 1. There we go. 30 cards sideways. Starling looking over the flag, and we're racing again.
Dude.
Race 2.
Wait, Moran?
Whoa. We've got a lot of people making passes. And I think that was Schlosser there in the back going down.
I don't even know what just went on.
That was chaos. A lot of guys going down.
Is there any rules? There's no rules to that, right?
There is no rules. It's Nom out here. I mean, we're just racing for fun. All right, Starling gets away with the early race lead. Looks like it is still Greco in second, Leitzel third, and Munoz was down out of turn number 2. Looks like another crash. Rodbell down. So we've already got a lot of passes being made. A lot of guys not doing the Supercross triple back there. But Justin Starling getting the lead early and pulling away. Look at Chiz. He's already making quite a few moves. Scott Meshy just ahead of him as they try to jump by Bubba Pauly. And so many guys so close together. This is just like bunching the field together so fast.
And Hardy's dropped way back as well. Only Schlosser's behind him, so he has got a lot of work to do. So chaos to start main event 2.
Yeah, you're going to have to let all the chaos kind of weed its way out the first 2-3 laps and let things kind of settle in before you really start.
Rodriguez was the rider that laid it down coming onto the start straight, so he is now at the tail end of the field. Schlosser picked it up. They've all gone by. It looks like, I think that is, not sure if that was Greco that was already slowing down on the side. I don't think so, but either way, Leitzel moves up into second. It is Walsh now third, Carr now fourth, and then the 35 of Marshall Welton rounds out the top 5. So we're starting to get some scores coming in. 2-8 right now for Kevin Morans is in the catbird seat to try to get this thing done, but it is going to shuffle every single lap.
Here comes Hardy right there on your screen. He was trying to make some moves around Chisholm. Chisholm not able to do the triple right there. You see Hardy up the inside of a KTM there. Didn't see the number on that, but it's like Chisholm right now in 15th.
Making some progress is Kyle Chisholm, already third on our board on 16 total points. So look at him making moves through the field. Now, we talked about Marshall Welton a little bit, Phil Nicoletti, as we're watching Dominic Thury in the whoops. Welton up to fourth. He's probably not going to get to Starling, but he could still get to second. He has a shot at this thing.
Yeah, and all he has to do is get Carnow and Leitzel, and then he could potentially get it if Morans doesn't get 2 more guys, but I think Morans is good enough to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, watching Morans right now, he's working on Dominic Thury, trying to get that pass, and that would be for him to get up into the 6th spot. As Chiz down. Chiz is down, upside down in the corner, and he's down with Devin Simonson. So they're down before the finish line jump, and they're both getting their bikes untangled from each other right now. So not sure if we got a camera on that. There they are. They are down in our motorsport moment of the race. Wow. Kyle Chisholm and Devin Simonson trying to get unstuck from each other, and this is not looking good for either of them. I think they're pretty much going to get last and laster now.
And that's a huge points difference now with Morans and Welton with 9 and 11, and then for Meshy back at 17. So they got a lot of room for error, and it's basically Morans and Welton going at it right now.
All right, so we're going to see where Morans gets to in this one. He's already moving down the inside there of Jack Chambers, gets by him, and he's still working on Thury. Thury's riding very well, keeping Kevin Morans at bay, and gets through that rhythm section a little bit cleaner. It is still Starling leading this race. Leitzel second, and or actually Carnow just moved into second. Leitzel third, and Marshall Welton is working on trying to get around Logan Leitzel. But this is playing into Kevin Morans' hands very well because he only has to get a couple more passes, and Marsh couldn't even get to him based on winning this race.
And off screen, Marsh just passed Leitzel, so that helps him out with one more. But at the moment, it's going to be hard. I mean, Morans is also veteran-ish, so he should know kind of where he's at and have some sort of idea of what's going on.
And he would have seen Chisholm, right?
Yeah.
He would have seen Chisholm down. He would see Simonson down. You see Welton on your screen right there.
And it's crazy as a racer with all the stuff that's going on that you're still able to witness and kind of calculate what's going on at that point in time.
Moran's on the move, though. He passes. Who was that right there?
Logan Leitzel. And
Leitzel right there.
Down.
Leitzel goes down.
So Morans has just gotten into the 5 spot now, still behind Thury as Welton. Starling. Something happened to Starling as you see him on your screen right there for just a moment. He just rolled over the finish line jump and is rolling off the track. So Justin Starling is now out of this race. That will promote Carnow into the race lead. And of course, Welton now to second, Thury third, and Morans into fourth. Now Morans would be sitting on 6 points as they run. This is as good as it gets for Kevin Morans.
Yeah, Morans has had a great start to this race right here. And even, Phil, just the first couple laps, it seemed like Morans was in the right place at the right time. He was making moves early, put himself in that good position, and now he's just kind of riding his race, consistent laps. He's obviously, we mentioned him at the start of the show just about how fast he is. He's been kind of a main event guy as well as of late. So you see Hardy on your screen still trying to make some passes, though. Hardy looks like trying to get around Chambers for 6th.
I mean, Hardy still can, potentially pass a few more and maybe get Marsh for second overall with 9 and 12 points. But I don't know how that's going to work on the start. Obviously, it's not an AMA race, so I don't know. But Moran's passed about 8-9 guys just down the start straight. So you could tell by how he had his bike lined up. So I'll be curious to see how that all plays out.
Do we care? Should that be a ruling in the first place for him passing that many guys?
I don't know.
We'll have to open the Mathis
You're
rule
not
book.
the AMA. Oh, man. All right, so Moran's still working his way forward. I'm honestly impressed with Thury in this race as well. I mean, he has been right in front of Moran's this entire time. We go back to Marshall Welton, who has now caught Carnow in the whoops, and he's going to try to get by him. Carnow on that 169 Kawasaki right in front of him, backed by OnlyFans, dealing with the pressure from Marshall Welton on the Gizmo Mods Rock River Yamaha. Welton to the outside, back to the inside, turns into the race lead, and now Welton can try to get away from here.
That was a nice pass right there from Marsh. Looks like Carnow's not going to be able to come back. Marshall riding really aggressive right now. Looks like he just missed that white flag. There's still a few seconds left on the clock, so it looks like going to be 2 to go.
This is a big confidence booster for Marsh. So last week was one of his best races of the year, and now he's finally getting in the flow right now. And obviously, whenever you cross the checkered flag first, it doesn't matter what type of race it is, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, going to collect a big payday as well. We keep talking about the winner, but how about a guy like Munoz in 3rd overall right now? A guy like Schlosser in 4th, and he's going to collect a big, big payday here today.
Well, one thing I want to mention about what you just talked about with Hardy Munoz right there, but Grant Harlan just ahead of him, they are catching Kevin Moran's, and if they could both get around Moran's, that would obviously promote Welton into a position to win this overall, and it's starting to tighten up a little bit because look at Moran's, he's maybe even got the pit board this time by, letting him know, hey man, you got to get going, you got some pressure from behind. There's Thury dealing with getting up on the car now, but then Harlan and Munoz right behind him as well. This could get interesting.
Yeah, right now Marsh is in a really good position because Moran's is having a hard time passing Thury, and he's got 2 really good guys trying to pass him. So, and Munoz is coming up here to the whoops where he's been absolutely dominant, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the pass comes from.
Yeah, if he can get close enough, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what he can do through this rhythm lane right here. Not many guys doing anything different, kind of just doubling through here, but still Moran's getting held up that little bit. Thury's able to get just about to the rear wheel. This is going to get good.
Oh, man, and Marshall Welton getting away at the front of the field. Meanwhile, the chaos is ensuing behind. Look at Munoz trying to go for it. It's going to come down to a good run in the whoops for these guys, whether they can get there on Moran's or not. Moran's gets to him pretty clean. Munoz is going for it, trying to get through, and Moran's triple doubles to the outside, trying to get by Thury. Finally, he's going to get there. Will he get the pass done? It's going to be to the outside, back to the inside, and he finally gets that pass done when he probably needed to do it the most. Meanwhile, up front, Marshall Welton takes it to the checkered flag. Marshall Welton wins race 2 of the PulpMX LCQ Challenge, but it's going to be Kevin Moran's. Looks like going 2-2 at the end of this. He is going to win the overall with a low score of 4, coming from almost the very back of the pack in this one, all the way back to 2nd.
I'm actually baffled that it's a 4-4 win, or 4 points wins it this year, 12 points last year. I don't know.
Well, it comes down to that start, right?
That start's got me mind blown right now. Right now, if I'm somebody that was mid-pack, I'm heated. I'm heated.
That's another one of our motorsport.com moments of the race is the start, obviously, because that's where Moran's took advantage of it. He's doing a little bit of waving to the crowd. He's stoked about it, but yeah, just picked up a cool 25 grand payday basically right there for winning this race. So congratulations to Kevin Moran's. But you guys think, what, fair play off the start, right? No.
I'm headbutting somebody.
Okay. Well, your guy Marsh just got you want Welton to win this, and he was 2nd overall, right?
Yeah,
well, in a normal race, anytime we do a stagger start, you cannot pass until you get past that white line. There is a white line there, so that's obviously what they were trying to go off of. And now, are they going to go off that or not? Because how many guys do you think Moran's passed before the white line?
A solid 8
7?
people.
You think so?
A
That
solid
many?
8 people, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a tough one.
And there's people down there too, That was a free-for-all.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to see if they judge that one or not. I'm not too sure if they will, as we see Kyle Chisholm pulling in at the end of this one. Chisholm was able to get to 18th, and the overall for him at the end looks like he will end up in 9th overall, 118 scores right there. A couple guys tied, actually, so he might get a benefit from winning a moto. Not too sure about that, but it looks like we are ready to send it down to JT, getting ready to go with our Guts Racing podium interview.
Thanks, guys. Kevin Moran's, You got the job done. I don't know if you saw, but Kyle Chisholm went down there, and this race and format's so strange. You never know if you know where you're at or where positioning is, but tell us what this means. It's a lot of money for the Privateers, and a little bit about your race as well.
Yeah, no, biggest thing is, Jerry Robin, dude, you're all in our thoughts. I want to do as much as I can. I know Chiz was racing for you specifically. I actually saw him roll onto the triple afterwards. I was like, oh, what's going on? And he pulled off. But I think Welton or Walsh, one of the two, was given 10% of their winnings to Jerry. I told Steve I'd do that too, so I've got 10% going to you, Jerry. Happy we were able to get it done, get you a little more. Obviously, I wish Chis honestly would have won to give you everything, but no, it's been awesome, dude. My team, everything's been so great this year. Building-wise compared to last year, had 2 concussions right off the rip last year. Couldn't get my feet under me. I feel like I'm not even to where I can be. We're just trying to prove ourselves and build the team. Like, obviously, as a privateer, dude, I've got a semi, more or less, a Renegade race hauler. We're looking to move to a semi, and that's large part due to Champion Tool Storage, G-Bow, KTM jumping on board a little bit. We got Blue Iron Foundation and Shoring. Ground Force as well. He's been huge. So, no, it's just been awesome. Race was gnarly, dude. Like, first one, Chiz got out front, and I was like, started like 5th, made my way up into 2nd, just kind of rode behind him, honestly. 1, he was doing a 3 over here. I wasn't ready to do yet. It's a little soft, sandy, being pressed and whatnot. So I let him take it. Obviously, I wanted him to kind of win the situation, but I didn't have the match for him. And then that last one, they said right before we took off, staggered start, he's like, as soon as we wave, you guys can do whatever you want. You guys don't have to wait for them to get the corner. And I saw them lining everybody up with their tire to the right of the rear wheel. So I was like, bro, I'm scooting back, going left. They're all going to get caught up and have to wait straight down. So, like, I even told Chiz I was doing before, too. And Simonson caught onto it right before we took off, did the exact same thing. I was like, dang it, Simonson. But, yeah, slipped around and then had to make quick passes. That was the biggest thing. So my aggression was great, and I got to give it up to my team. My mom and dad who are out here, Jackson, my mechanic, Justin, the truck driver, and one came to me the line, Noah for doing the vlogs. Just everybody a part of our program. It's been awesome, and yeah, happy to get some of this done and put a little funding back into the program, maybe do some outdoors, and give a little back to Jerry.
Great job, man.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, JT, for that. And, of course, thanks, Guts Racing, as well, for backing the podium interviews. Well, there you have it. Right from the horse's mouth, Kevin Moran says that down there they did not say he could not do it, and he did it. So he took advantage of maybe a little bit of a loophole here today.
Outlaw rules.
Yeah, anything goes. And good on him, right? If they did say that, which it sounds like they did, move your wheel to the left and go up the inside.
A little bit of racer IQ.
So wrapping this thing up, of course, now, was that expected? Did we expect to see such a low score today as well? I mean, a 2-2 on the board when you have to come all the way from the back is insane, but the rest of the scores even were lower sometimes than last year, with Hill winning on 12 points. Marshall Welton gets second on 8 points. I think Munoz or someone up there with third on 10 points. So low scores today. Very interesting, right?
Yeah, I think obviously the low scores came from that start. I don't know what happened from this year to last year, but obviously they came up with something different. So, yeah.
All right, we're going to throw it back down to JT for another interview.
Well, these guys are chatting it up here, but Marshall Welton, you win race 2. You get 2nd overall. Talk to us about the race. Kevin gave us the entire breakdown of the whole day, but no, it's obviously a great thing that Steve Matz of PulpMX have put on and Yamaha and everybody, but talk to us about your individual experience here.
Yeah, this is actually my 3rd year being able to do this race every year. It's been really great for me. It's been, these privateer struggles are real. I got a great support group behind me, and it's just one of those little bonuses that makes life a little bit easier at the end of the day. And I'm really grateful for Steve and Yamaha and everybody just helping us out, putting this whole thing on. And yeah, I mean, we all know about Jerry, and I'm definitely giving a good percentage of this win to him, and he deserves. He's a good friend of mine. So overall, it was a tough race, though. There's a lot of sand in the track, so with that breaking down, you just don't know where it's going to catch and where you're going to get traction. Yeah.
Great job. We're going to roll right into 3rd overall. Hardy Munoz on a 250. I think a lot of people are cheering for you for lots of reasons. You definitely are pretty loose out there. I think it's an interesting experience every single weekend, but your riding has improved so much on Saturdays, and I think this 3rd place here today was a sign of that.
Yeah, I think I'm not close yet to what I do in practice, to be honest. We're still working on bringing the speed up at the races. This race was definitely awesome. It's my first time here, got invited. The format is just super fun. You do a great first moto, and the second moto it gets a little harder. I had a crash on the 2nd turn, so I came from last. But with the altitude, it's also hard, really hard on the 250. But happy being here, and thank you guys for doing this. This is awesome for the privateers.
Great job. we'll send it back to the booth.
Thanks, JT, for that. And again, thanks, Guts Racing, being on board with these podium interviews down there. All right, final thoughts from this today, guys. Awesome Yamaha PulpMX LCQ challenge, and a lot of money given out to those guys down there. But everyone kind of leaves here a bit of a winner, and it's really cool that this is an event we get to see every year now, right?
Yeah, I'm very jealous, as a racer that 15 years ago, this wasn't around when I was struggling really bad. So it's awesome that Steve does this. Like, he doesn't need to do this, and it's a lot of stress. And yeah, I'm very appreciative, and I'm not even doing the race, so it's very cool.
So yeah, just shout out to Steve and everyone at Pulp, obviously putting this on. There you see the podium right there. Moran's taking a big check home. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool indeed. Big thanks, of course, to Race Tech, Yamaha, Luxon, FXR, Motorsport, Guts, Fox Factory Trucks, all backing the program here today. Hey, you guys can still enter as well. Go to pulpmx.com. That is pulpmx.com/LCQ challenge. You guys can enter this all the way through Monday, and then the winner of the Yamaha YZ450F will be announced on Monday night's PulpMX show. So you don't want to miss that as well if you're getting involved in the raffle. And that's going to do it for us here today at the Yamaha PulpMX LCQ challenge. For Kellen Brauer, for Phil Nicoletti, for Justin Brayton, we thank you guys for tuning in here on Verb Motor to watch the action here today. And thanks for tuning in. Congrats to Kevin Morans on winning the race.